89. 89. Think I don't believe it. 89. Oh, oh. This is So Lex. You can find me, Slex.me. And you go to Think, Feel, and Believe in Slex.me and start with number one. I mean, if you're cutting in and you're watching these videos now, my encouragement is to you, specifically you. I can see you. You know I can't yet. You, that's right. I'm talking to you. Hey, oi, talking to you. I'm talking to you. Go back to number one and start in the beginning and watch these videos in succession because they are just. They're just building on top of each other. And I talked about it in one of my last videos. Is that if somebody would take and just listen to them from one all the way through up until now. There's going to be transformation and change that takes place in your life. That is if you take some action. You got to take some action, huh? You got to take some action. You got to take some action and not put conditions on taking action, huh? Don't put conditions on taking action, eh? Don't put conditions on taking action, eh? Don't put conditions on taking it. Okay, so you're going to sit down and maybe let's say you're going to make a decision as to watch these videos and you're going to start picking up on some good things here, listening to the wisdom and everything that's being put out about it. And you're like, okay, it just seems so overwhelming that I could do this like right now, And so, after I get through this, and then we can maybe and start putting conditions on change. Putting conditions on change in your life and not letting change happen and not doing something proactive to make it happen. The thing about life is when you're moving towards goals or any kind of things that you want to do in your life here is that you don't have to take giant steps every single you don't have to take giant steps every single time that you try to move through something. As long as you're doing something every day to move yourself in that direction. As long as you're doing a little bit of something every day to move yourself in that direction of that goal. So you don't put any conditions on making on moving forward on anything. When you've got goals or whatever it is, and you think, okay, well, let me tell you, I've obviously been guilty of it myself, putting conditions on, okay, when I complete this, then I'll do this. When I complete this, I'll do this. And then once I get this done, then I'll do it. Then I'll make time for that. Then I'll have time for that. And you know what? It never comes. It never comes because you're simply not taking the steps to make room for it and do it anyways. So don't put conditions on any of this. And this stuff's really easy. I mean, as long as you're doing something every day. I mean, if you start paying attention to your thought life and one of the most important things that I ever learned about when I started to want to transform myself and change a little bit was I started paying attention to how I felt and how things made me feel about stuff all the time. And I started paying attention to my feeling. I started asking myself these questions: Why am I feeling that way? Why am I feeling that way? Why am I feeling that way? So you're taking control of your life for some change, and don't put any conditions on moving forward and doing that because all you're doing is making excuses. And I don't necessarily just pointing to this particular aspect applies to other areas in life too. I'll do this. I can do that before when I do this. I can do this before I do that. Those are the things that are just simply holding you back from making progress in your life, period. I'll start thinking differently about things when this happens or when this happens or when that happens or when this happens. No. You got to kind of take charge a little bit of your life. You got to take charge. And I got to mention this. It was one of my videos I said about taking control. There's one thing about taking control and trying to be in control and push things and try to control things and try to shove that square in the circle. There's one thing about trying to control things versus getting a hold of your life and getting control of your life in that particular area and start to see things for what they are and how you're thinking, feeling, believing, because that's really the crucial part that I want to make sure that, before you be able to make those great changes in your life. Start moving towards the things that you really want and the things that you really want to change. You're not going to be able to do that. You're not going to be able to get to those things that you really want to change in your life if you don't just simply get control of your life in the basis eater about how you're thinking and feeling and believing. Because when you start getting control, when you start paying attention and getting control of your life, don't put any conditions on moving forward with change and do that. How do you wish to think, feel, and believe about food? Well, when I get through this tough time in my life, I'll start putting some more energy in that direction. No, don't do that. No, you got to start paying attention now, because this, it's like, it's like everything else in life. Time is all we're given, right? So the sooner you take charge, the sooner you take charge and move forward in a particular direction, the better off you're going to be. It's kind of like crawling up that mountain, right? Let's see. We'll go around it this time when we get around it, and then when we get back here, then we'll do. Okay. All right, we're back here again. No, we'll go around. No. Oh, and then we're back at the same place again. When if you would just taking these steps and going and up, taking the steps and moving towards the things that need to be changed in your life. By how you think, feel, and believe about whatever it is, about food, about money, about your relationships, about your work, about your jobs, about what you think about finances, about what you think about your schoolwork, what you think about your school friends, what you think about your abilities, what you think about, who you're attracted to, what you're attracted to, about just everything. You start thinking about the dynamics of human beings and the way that they wish to think, feel, and believe about everything. I mean, it's very, 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 very complex, because as human beings, we're very, very, very complex, and we got a very, very, very complex things going on, and there's so much depending on how old you are, I could talk about one time my grandfather, he just had this attitude, and that he was just good for nothing. He was good for nothing. And he brought himself down so low, and then when he had a real challenge in his life, he broke his hip. He was down so low to begin with that he ended up basically dying in the hospital from a broken hip. I mean, there wasn't any other complications in his life or anything. He'd taken himself down so low that he just pretty much gave up. So if you're watching these videos, there's a reason why you're sitting there watching this video. Because there's a reason why at some level or another that something's speaking to you about telling you about what's going on. So, yeah. Putting conditions on things is just another form of procrastination, basically, right? Right. I mean, the sooner you do things, the better. And you want to know something? When you start moving forward in particular ways that are going to create change in your life, that's going to be for good. It's going to be for good. It's going to empower you. That's the whole thing about this, is putting yourself through the little things, getting control of your thought life and your feelings and paying attention to those things and bringing about awareness, bringing about that awareness within you as a person. And again, I don't care if you're a little kid. I don't care if you're a bigger kid. I'm a big kid. Or you're a teenager, whether you're a young adult, whatever, you're a human being, right? I mean, you can get control of your thought life about everything that you're doing, even from a child. If a child's listening to this, if you're a child, are you a little tyke out there? Start. How do you think about how you feel about how you do about school and what you do about those things? Because you know what? Nobody else is in control of things. You're the one that takes the choice, makes the choice, and takes the chance for the change. Yeah. Yeah.